Hello again, sweetie.
Yes?
Right to work!
Yes?
Can I help you?
The door is closed.
Yes?
What do you want to know? You mean like a brief? 3 days ago, during... They didn't identify... There's a strong... Okay, well, good.
This coin-operated viewer is facing southwest. Its coin slot is full of fossilized bubblegum, rendering the metal feels cold and wet under your...
Probably some kids.
A thick layer of graffito covers the lenses. You spell out the word Onak written on the other side. That's Kuno on the lens. Under the graffito, a sea of blues and greys appear. Behind the water lies a coast studded with concrete and reeds. You know this to be the star of Pericarnassus, or the Cairo, the central symbol of the Pericarnassian church, a star. The church looks old and weather-worn. There are no lights in the windows. Around the large wooden building you see chunks of sea ice gathered on the beach, and a small tent set up on the ice. This coin-operated viewer is facing south. The instruction manual says to insert 25 centi. Why place a tourist attraction in the middle of such poverty?
There was a revitalization project in '49. A design studio tried restoring Martinez to it. They got as far as the street lamps and the statue on that intersection. Then something went sour. I suspect that something was Everard Clare, the union leader. He muscled them out. It's how it usually goes around here. That's odd. I could swear you were a police officer.
Your money disappears into the coin slot. The curtains on the display open. You lean in to catch the view. It's blurry, different blues and greens. The lenses shift. The ghost sharpens into an islet in the bay. In the ruins, a man-made structure is visible. It looks as if it was abandoned quite some time ago. Nothing but a rot.
Really? I don't have the eyesight to make it out. Really?
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building. You have no clue. It's just a wall. So many walls all over Martinez, weather-worn.
Are you trying to sneak up on me?
Logic error. She is not sleeping.
Pig's come to take me out. Trying to snuff me out. Don't get fucking clever with me, pig. You think... Trying to sneak up on me... Trying to sneak up on me again. Trying to snuff me out.
It's been a week and now they
You
show?
see a young man on a balcony nursing a cigarette.
Not looking for any trouble, officer.
It's the voice of someone who has something to hide, my liege.
There's no trouble. I'm just speaking in a lowered voice. I don't want to be seen talking to the gendarmerie if that's okay. I just want to finish my cigarette.
Don't let him go. This could be your witness. The balcony has a great view of the whole thing.
Is it really that important?
Like a nervous cat, he keeps stealing looks at the neighboring window.
All right, but make it quick. Once I finish this cigarette, I have to run. Help you? No, sorry, gendarme. My name? My name is...
That's definitely not his real name.
No, of course not. Could you please lower your voice? I'd even go so far as to say that the view is a little too good, my dear gendarme. Do you have an estimate of when the body will be taken away?
We will remove the body as soon as possible.
Oh. You already asked me that, didn't you?
Wait, is someone else investigating the lynching?
No, not you two. Some more muscular type.
And when did you speak to this more muscular gentleman?
Last week? I don't know. Look.
He's an actor declaiming a soliloquy. See how you have.
You didn't answer the question. What were you doing?
It was my Sunday friend.
He doesn't reply, gesturing no with his cigarette.
I'd even go...
We will
Oh.
Wait, is...
No, not you.
And when did you
Last week?
He's an act...
You didn't answer.
It was my Sunday...
He...
I'd even go...
We will...
Oh.
Wait, is someone...
No, not you.
And when?
Last week?
He's an act...
You didn't answer.
It was my Sunday...
He doesn't reply.
No. We won't. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really need to get going.
Time to bring out your secret charm. Tears and begging. Show him your emotional side. Throw yourself before his very feet like a dog.
No, for God's sake, I don't want you to cry. Listen, I really have to go. Good luck with the investigation.
He's gone. No point in running. Tenements like these often have multiple exits. If he doesn't want to talk to us, then he'll know how to hide himself. He could be a witness. Him or his Sunday friend. Either way, there has to be a way of getting inside the building.
A sturdy metal door guards the side. This could be a way into the apartment building. The smoke. The door rattles against your knuckles. But the door rattles again. But this time...
Stop banging on the door! I'm not letting any more strangers in. Doesn't matter who I am. Ha! The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here. No, I already told you. Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there will.
Backyard door. With the smoker. You already were there. Didn't...
Good. We had enough problems with bums and drunks and thieves loitering in the hallway.
You're well versed in the kind of threatening legalese that implies criminal liability, but in fact has no meaning whatsoever. Obviously, look at that vague yet threatening stuff spewing forth from your mouth.
I know my rights, and don't you marm me, boy.
Miss! Would it help if we offer to show you our badges?
Ah, it's like a carrot to the stick, sort of.
Hold your horses. I don't care about your stinking badge. Just come in. Give me a moment. The cold never does any good for my bronchitis. I already told you I don't care about any. I'm fine. Now, what do you want from me, police?
She's the cleaning lady. She knows the floor plan and the residence.
I'm no one. if you can call it living. It's barely bigger than a closet, but I don't complain, no.
She hasn't spoken to anyone for a while. Even her sentences feel rusty.
Yes, I know who you mean.
Somewhere in the building, a child starts crying. You hear a radio.
What's he in trouble for? Talk?
What was so funny about
He lives upstairs in room 28. Go to the balcony.
Thank you. We should go check out his apartment on the...
The waiters are at the end of this hallway, right next to the communal bathroom.
You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the walking stops abruptly, but you can feel tension on the other side. A poor communard from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant? I'm not obligated to open the door if you don't have a warrant.
Let's go. We don't have a reason to get...
It's generally easier to do things if you have literally any reason. This door has been closed with a padlock. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle is deeply corroded. A solid pair of chain cutters would make short. No reply.
Why would we want to break into some random citizen's apartment?
The lieutenant looks at you for a long moment, but he knows it wouldn't make much of a difference.
I suppose if one were committed to it, there's a pair of chain cutters in the kinema. We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. We should take care of that, then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping.
A shabby door hangs oddly on its hinges, secured to the doorframe with a safety chain. An unpaid energy bill is attached.
And the place comes with 3 months' worth of utility bills.
No response. The door is locked by a chain. If only you had some kind of standard police device for the cut. This door is made of metal and appears to be number 28. This is where the cleaning lady...
Let's see if anyone's home.
No one answered.
Looks like the young man we are looking for isn't home. I think our best chance to catch him is in the evening. We should return tomorrow after we have finished with our day's work. The smoker on the balcony. This is why we're here, right? He might...
Don't worry. It's mostly all still here. You can remember things.
Tomorrow, 9 p.m., right here. Apartment number 28.
Damn. Turns out it's quite tricky finding someone in a... Remember, tomorrow. He's probably gone for today. No one...
We should return tomorrow.
The streets will flow red once more, a great torrent rushing down.
The streets will not flow red with anything.
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood, and here I was trying to be polite. Just can't win with you pigs.
That smell coming from her paint bucket. It's not paint. Red-dyed heavy fuel oil is only used in government vehicles. Or at least that's the idea. The lieutenant furrows his brow at another one of your eccentricisms. Hatred, disgust. It's difficult to tell which of the two is more present in her. The woman on the boat does not notice her.
That is on her. Someone's got to keep an eye on her.
Ozon is an archipelago 2 days' travel away from Rivershore. Its moneyed residents used to posh restaurants and upscale.
Probably the Wild Pines rep. We should talk to her. She's a professional negotiator, though. I have the feeling she will be very cooperative while telling us nothing. You should take the lead. Ask her unexpected questions, you know? Do your thing.
Good idea, piggies. Run along now. Fuck her shit up good. Can't you tell? I'm painting a beautiful mural. I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words. Have you ever tried your hand at graffiti-o? When faced with a blank wall, most people... We rarely see pigs round here, though. Just union cards. And my name's not Mona. This place is severely lacking in havoc. I thought I'd mix it up, you know. Summon the forces of crime and social... Yeah?
Let's be realistic. What are you going to do? Throw her off the back?
You heard your partner, Piggy. I'm unstoppable. Can't you... I have... Yeah? Thanks.
She means the opposite.
I ain't no snitch, pigstan.
Actually, there is a shortage of people who...
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant. What did you think I was using? Aquarels? Sucked it out of a cop's fuel tank myself. Back in Jamrock. Or what? You'll push me off this ledge and pry the bucket from my dead hands?
The lieutenant furrows his brow. Hatred, the woman.
That is on her. Someone's got to keep an eye on her.
Ozon is an arc.
Probably the Wild Pine. You should take...
Good idea, Piggy. Watch your back, Ungulate. You've got eyes on you.
Give me a moment.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat.
Good evening, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Phaeton, my maiden name. I meant you, the Revachol Citizens Militia, the police. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
Relax. She meant it in jest.
I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will. Glad.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you...
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. This is a tactic.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines Group. Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are.
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas Alamer island groups are archipelagos.
Okay, if you want to get technical. The point is, we're all on islands here, and sail is still the most expedient way to get from one island to another. Especially when you're in a hurry to resolve a strike. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's...
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of...
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. Why what? Stop thinking. Take her down. You're not? Okay then. Just keep on admiring the boat then. Unburdened by envy.
Of course there are. I mean...
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas Alamer island groups are...
I haven't seen...
Actually, it's for
Neither is this...
You need to make this... Before you do, it will be pertinent to ask other questions. Gather more info on this boat of hers.
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is. It's a pleasure craft. A 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for my sloop. I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, babe.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Officer, I assure you...
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Oh my, the E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class?
Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Messier is a professional negotiator?
Then what does that say? Does it say docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Gilles 33A? This old proletarian haunt here? As I said, plenty of people drive boats, of all social strata.
Your synapses flesh. That's the stuff.
I assure you, they drove quite the hard bargain for this space. I am a bourgeois woman, and this is my long, incredibly lightweight, interminably bourgeois boat. Good. What we do? I'm afraid I don't...
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there? And that is the terminal. Another subdivision.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain, Saint-Baptiste, Elysium, an unknown entity known as...
Why, thank you. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. And to think, there are years when the group books losses in the billions. Walpines employs 72,000 people, all of whom have families that depend on their salaries. They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when pine ships explored the South Seminese and centuries of care, deliberation and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in You know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed or been absorbed. To survive, Walpines had to grow and adapt. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? We built this district.
We. There it is. She owns up to it.
All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, with its bastions, the plazas Meteor and Mosaic, even some of the old street before Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbour, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was a company getaway, for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution. But that's another matter.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Good luck is only kept in place by the vested...
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the court.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. First, you'd have to repeal the Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the coalition.
You'd be shooting yourself.
But I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return...
No way. She's more. She can make decisions.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Oh, so you've met him. Has he beguiled you with his inane theories?
My colleague has his peculiarities. Let's not go into this particular one just yet.
Of course. To each their own. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first...
And when did you...
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was...
But the strike began in...
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concession.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the Union. There are leaflets everywhere. Every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision, about what? About anything, really. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of... That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic, and now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in...
Excuse me, from whom did you hear?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates, the one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, call me mañana.
This checks out. No, wait. The chief negotiator heard it from a man at the gates. Surely the Wild Pines group has more effective channels of information. After all, 2,200 people are on strike.
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock come to plead for work where the Union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can... Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, it's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of... The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a...
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected the point of the presentation is, these kinds of things have...
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just...
Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope...
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
'Twas stolen by some artist, surely. Best to pin the blame on them. Everyone knows you can't trust artists. Everyone knows you can't trust artists. They're nearly as bad as clowns.
You mean someone stole your badge? I don't, in fact. I'm afraid what I need to tell you is wholly unrelated to art. I really need to discuss it, however.
Unbelievable, sire. Even the performance artists didn't work.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Oh dear. Some kind of I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't.
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. Feelings will guide the way.
I assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible. Trust me, officer, I am fully committed to resolving this.
She's silent. The wind flaps the sail above her.
Officer. You know, I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back.
You're doing it. Despite your own best efforts, you're still getting in.
I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbor. It's an or you can find your badge, which honestly seems like a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue. This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and you know, not volunteer us to be her henchman. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about...
Maybe this is all her plan. She might have heard about you.
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching. I wouldn't go that far. Her reaction did come off. Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we...
The situation might have changed.
You could request a new...
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? This reality...
Yes, reality and experimental side case.
How truly curious. A sort of philosopher detective.
Are they now?
A deep synthesis.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
We're in Martinez, baby. A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disc... Aren't we all?
She refers to your corresponding ages.
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small... You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the revolution. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once. As I told you, Martinez used to be a province. A worker... It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean.
Known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensités Bleues, the blue immensities, vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary. Revachol? Revachol is what you call the great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, in the DeLorean century. They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. By that I mean conflicts. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people. In the middle, I think it's fair to say so. 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. There is no recognition. Only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know?
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has... Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Madame Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
It's better not to eat all your candy at once.
Indeed. I'm always at... These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born for the big time. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing, interest... No. I would say the apes were neutral. On the other hand, maybe you're right. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves?
Yeah, it was a
Yes. The insulindian, yes. An acute thiamine deficiency can be... Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts diff. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. Yes. King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? When him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. The liberals got the mineral rights. They didn't win so much.
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention. The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The coalition of nations. Grad, the moralists believe in keeping everything, at least not in this. This is their zone.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a peace.
A devout man of the center. Hard to come by. It's good to have someone who takes a moderate approach to head shooting. The turn of the revolution began. It wasn't a who, but a what. It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not.
It was a funny time in history. They discovered...
From Revachol and Grad? Why?
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
No doubt. But we share the same time. A city-state divided into free... The zone of control. Modernity.
51 minus 8 equal...
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of... The 30s? Things settled down in the third. Yes. And quantitative easing. Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked...
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not. Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Good question. What would you have done differently? I see. A tenth of humanity. The key of history is in the lock. Keep turning at any cost. All yours. That's been the believe it or not.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official position?
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way.
Understandable. They are what they are. Anyway,
Not so fast. Who is she in all this?
a bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. Ah. This or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories, mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once...
Splat, splat.
Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags? Ah, yes. There's something very the girl in... Looks like a sullen and rebellious Yes. You and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food. She prefers a fantasy world. An infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. Young people who dye their hair funny colors. All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're...
And what would that be? I can see that, yes. Nothing infra about disco, baby. Those days are long behind me. And even in the early the new. A culture. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne-colored everything. Wasn't it Guillaume Le Million who said, if you can remember the new, you weren't there? Ah, yes. This is not very central to reality. I can't be 100% sure, but I believe he died due to complications from venereal disease. You can't get a venereal disease from that, can you? All of them. I'm afraid no. But then, anyway, what other basic... I am the vilest of the vile. I am an old...
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
An ultra-liberal. It's a type of liberal. From the revolution. Yes. I am the nether creature of... I can see you thought our kind were all extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as this anymore. A fitting punishment. To be forgotten, if not forgiven. Save a prayer for us. When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left. With due respect to our overlords, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the coalition.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters, we had an obligation to
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife.
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. The strange coldness, it's on the tip of your tongue.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy. Look at that lady. Take a gan. Why, yes. Tucked away, while dull orange pearls hang from her. These are the kind eyes of the rich man within reason. Now look at you. You misery, you're poor. Poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. Oh, but you are. Too ashamed to ask this person for...
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
I am sorry. It's surprisingly eloquent, really. The last one, not the first three. Those are ape speak.
My. What? That's garbage. You're a police officer. Of course. It's quite straight.
Ingredients for
Meth and dextroamphetamine. GBL. Yes. After they clear...
Wild Pine seems to be...
We're in logistics. It's our... Yes, but you won't get...
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Precisely. Someone needs to move the ingredients from...
How convenient that they're stranded like beached...
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout. I'll be explicit. If you find this...
Uncovering Union secrets could also give you an upper hand when dealing with them.
We did. On more than one occasion.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged...
Well, here's your chance off... No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company... This is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the... Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets.
Well, at least...
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock work.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you. The two...
Or not. Though, if you have...
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job... Yes? Excellent. It may come to nothing, or in the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance. More lessons in basic reality? Glad to have been of course,
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a metallic drawer slides. The handles are long and sleek. The pull-out toolbox.
Can I help you? Yes. Have you got... Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me? As a police officer, you must... Evidence being money. You can't stay here without money. Good luck trying to use it. All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a not until you bring me...
Okay. I might have something in my motor...
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here. Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include game? Everything? Oh, wonderful. Try to do that. I'll have to call you an ambulance. Oh, wonderful. Not until...
Okay.
Oh, Lieutenant.